Asterisk, he turned down the PGA Tour, built his own road straight back to it, then watched someone else steal his spot. Asterisk, I need you to sit with this for a second. A YouTube creator with 1.4 million subscribers gets invited to the PGA Tour. He says no. Then he spends months building his own pathway back in, gets to the front of the line, and loses his own qualifier to his own partner on his own stage. That's not a sports story. That's a soap opera. And it's happening right now in professional golf. Stay with me, because the ending of this one, I promise you, nobody saw coming. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Rick Analysis PGA. I'm Rick, and today we are breaking down the most fascinating, most frustrating, most uniquely 2026 story happening anywhere in golf right now. And it has nothing to do with a major championship. It has everything to do with a guy named Grant Horvat, a YouTube qualifier, a suspended commissioner, and a door that keeps opening for everyone except the man who built it. Let's get into it. First, if you don't follow YouTube golf, you need to understand who we're talking about. Grant Horvat, 1.4 million subscribers, over 264 million total video views. Not trick shots, not celebrity challenges, actual competitive golf, filmed honestly, with real stakes, real pressure, real scoring. The kind of content that tournament broadcasts have been trying and failing to replicate for decades. He became one of the most watched figures in all of golf content. And for a long time, that was its own category, separate from the PGA Tour, separate from the leaderboards and the broadcast deals and the FedEx points. But YouTube golf has grown way beyond what anyone expected. The viewership numbers now rival, and in some demographics exceed, what traditional golf broadcasts pull in. Channels like Horvat's, Matt Fryer, Rick Shields, the Lads channel with Jason Day and Ryan Ruffels, collectively generating hundreds of millions of views in 2025 and 2026 alone. The PGA Tour noticed, and the question of how professional golf relates to content creators went from a curiosity to a strategic priority. Grant Horvat sits at the exact center of that collision. Before we go further, I want to hear from you. If you were Grant Horvat and the PGA Tour told you you can play but you can't film, what do? Do you take the start? Or do you protect what built you? Drop, take it, or walk away in the comments right now. This actually matters for what comes next in the story. Spring 2025. The PGA Tour extends Horvat a sponsor exemption into the Barracuda Championship, an opposite field event running alongside the Open. Not the most glamorous entry point, but a legitimate PGA Tour start. He polls his audience. The response is overwhelming. Asterisk play. This is what we've been watching you work toward. Asterisk. The most powerful golf organization on the planet was inviting a YouTube creator into its field. And Grant Horvat said no. His reason was simple, and he's never backed away from it. The only reason that invitation existed was because of YouTube, because of the people watching his videos. If he was going to play, he needed to film it. The PGA Tour's media rights rules don't allow players to film their own rounds during competition. Legitimate rule. But apply it to a guy whose entire identity is built on filming himself compete, that was always going to produce exactly this collision. Horvat chose his audience, walked away from a guaranteed tour start. On principle, the golf media roasted him. My Golf Spy said he'd regret it. Writers said the tour wouldn't ask twice. The whole controversy burned hot for about a week, and then disappeared, the way 2025 controversies tend to do. Then came January 16th, 2026. Horvat posts on X. No explanation. No reference to what changed. Just asterisk. Excited to be playing in my first PGA Tour event next week. Asterisk. The American Express at PGA West, La Quinta, California. 127,000 views on that announcement post within hours. Nobody knew what arrangement had been made. Nobody explained whether the tour moved on filming. Nobody said a word about the principle he'd stood on 6 months earlier. He just showed up, competed, stood inside those ropes as an official PGA Tour competitor for the first time in his career. The scorecard wasn't the point. The presence was the point. The signal to tour sponsors and broadcast partners that the audience watching Horvat, that audience, is worth chasing. But the ambiguity of how it happened? That question hung over everything that followed. Here's what I want to know from you. and I'm going to address the best answers in my next video. Do you think the PGA Tour actually needs YouTube creators? Or are they just a short-term experiment to chase younger viewers? Tell me below. Serious question. I genuinely want to know what this community thinks. Late April 2026. Horvat announces the queue at Myrtle Beach, a YouTube qualifier, feeding directly into a PGA Tour event. 8 players, 2 days, 1 versus 1 match play first. Winners advance into 18-hole stroke play, all for a single sponsor exemption into the Myrtle Beach Classic, a $4 million PGA Tour event. The commissioner running the whole operation? Wesley Bryan, a PGA Tour winner who had been suspended indefinitely in April 2025 for competing in LIV Golf's YouTube series alongside Grant Horvat. So let's recap. A suspended tour commissioner, a creator who turned down one tour start and accepted another without explaining why. A YouTube qualifier feeding into a $4 million professional event, and a sponsor willing to hand a field spot to whoever survives it. This is the most chaotic thing to happen in professional golf in years. And it happened because a group of content creators decided to build their own qualification structure and found a willing event at the other end. The tour didn't build this road. Horvat did, and he was going to walk it. Horvat competed in his own qualifier, the format he'd always wanted, competitive golf, filmed openly, shared in real time across multiple YouTube channels. The experience he said the tour wouldn't give him at the Barracuda was finally materializing in a structure he helped design. And then Ryan Ruffels won it. Ruffels, who runs the Lads channel with Jason Day, who had recently won the All-Pro YouTube tournament team with Horvat himself, beat the entire field in match play and stroke play to claim the sponsor exemption. Grant Horvat, the man who organized the qualifier, promoted it, entered it with everything to gain, did not make it through. He watched someone else take the PGA Tour start he had spent a year building a pathway toward. That is the gut punch nobody saw coming. Not just because he lost, but because of the shape of the whole story. He turned down a tour start, built his own tour pathway, then lost his own qualifier to his own partner on his own stage. If you're watching this and thinking, how does this story end? That's exactly why you need to be subscribed to Rick Analysis PGA. This is a channel that breaks down the moments behind the moments in professional golf, not just leaderboards, the real stories. Hit subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because what comes next in the Grant Horvat saga is going to be worth watching. Here's what actually matters beyond one man's frustration. The queue at Myrtle Beach happened without the tour's permission, without their infrastructure, without their broadcast partners or their media rights agreements. A group of content creators built a qualifying structure, found a willing sponsor event, and produced a pathway that the tour's own systems never would have created. YouTube golf has already reached the audience the tour desperately wants to access, and it did without them. The viewership numbers don't care about media rights. The 25-year-olds watching Horvat and Ruffels and the Lads channel are not checking the broadcast schedule. They're on YouTube. They've always been on YouTube. And now that the road exists, other creators will walk it. Now, here's the thing I keep coming back to. Grant Horvat built the road. He designed the format, took the public stand, made the noise that forced the conversation, created the qualifier, showed up ready to walk through the door he built with his own hands. And Ryan Ruffels walked through it first. That is brutal. And it's also, honestly, the most compelling version of this story. Because Horvat is still here, still competing, still building. And the next door, it already has his fingerprints on it. Whether the tour welcomes what's coming or merely tolerates it is the most interesting question in golf content for the next 2 years. And I'll tell you this much. In my next video, I'm going to break down exactly what the PGA Tour's next move needs to be if they want to get ahead of this. Because right now, they're reacting. And in this game, the people who react are always a step behind. You do not want to miss that one. If this video had you hooked from the first line, hit that like button before you scroll. It tells the algorithm to push this to every golf fan who deserves to know this story. Subscribe to Rick Analysis PGA. Turn on notifications. This saga is not finished. Not even close. I'm Rick. I'll see you in the next one.